Hello Internet, and in this video I'm going to be painting some Nurgle Plaguebearers. So, for those of you that regularly visit the channel, you may be able to tell from my voice that Grandfather Nurgle has blessed me and given me some horrible kind of cold. So hey, I should probably be grateful because he's recognising the hard work I'm doing for his army. As part 2 of my New Year New Army, I wanted to show you guys how I paint the foot soldiers of my Nurgle army, the Plaguebearers. I'm going to be painting the skin of these Plaguebearers in 3 different colours, and that's because I like a bit of variation in my armies. I don't want it to just be a sea of green. Let's add a bit of pop. The colours that I'm going to be going for are the classic green, a yellow and a pink. I start by priming all the demons in black. I do this by mounting them all on a little plank thing and using a spray can primer. As mentioned in my previous video about painting plague drones, I want the army to be consistent but allow room for experimentation. I'm doing this in 2 ways. The first way is through basing. All the Nurgle models will have the same basic basing scheme, so it looks like they exist in the same place. Make sure to leave a comment below if you would like to know how I have been doing these bases, as I have actually filmed the process. The second way I keep the army coherent is by having a colour that is repeatedly included in the paint schemes. The colour I chose for this is deep sea blue. That is what I use when base coating every one of these miniatures. After that I start to apply different skin colours. I used an airbrush for this stage to keep things quick and to ensure smoother blends. However, if you do not use an airbrush, you can replicate this next couple of steps using a dry brush, going in a downward motion. On the green Plaguebearers, I sprayed a layer of Nurgling green from above the model so that the light green would be on all the raised surfaces, leaving shadowed areas in that lovely dark sea blue colour from earlier. Once this had dried, I repeated the process with Gauze Blaster green, but was a bit more selective with where I was spraying the paint, so that I didn't completely cover up the last step and could emphasise certain parts of the model. As Gauze Blaster green is quite desaturated but supplies a great starkness for highlights, I washed all the skin with Biltan green to reintroduce a deeper green tint. Using the exact method I just used on the green Plaguebearers, I applied a layer of Screamer Pink to 2 of the Plaguebearers which I wanted to be pink. Then sprayed a follow-up layer of Pink Horror. This was then washed with Carroburg Crimson. Unsurprisingly, the yellow proved to be a bit more difficult. See, even people that make YouTube videos don't really know what they're doing. So instead of telling you what I did, I'm going to tell you what I believe you should do. The way I approached yellow skin was simply by applying a couple different yellows in the way I painted the other Plaguebearers. However, as yellow is quite transparent, the underlying paint made the models appear a vibrant green. So if that's what you're after, maybe consider painting your demons this way. As a result of this blunder, I had to apply multiple extra layers of paint, which of course risks losing some of the detail on the model. Instead, what I would advise you do is, on top of the dark sea blue, apply a couple coats of bone colour to get a solid coverage. Then once that bone colour is applied, you can go over the top of that with a yellow, as it will keep its yellow appearance much better over a lighter colour. Once you've reached a saturation you are happy with, wash the model with Saffron Sepia to bring out the recesses. As there are quite a few of these models in the army, I want to keep this paint scheme fairly simple, so I can really put my energy into the character models. As such, the skin is going to be left after these few simple steps. Being demons of Nurgle, these models have plenty of open wounds and swelling pustules. To paint such details, we are going to start with the raw fleshy holes in each of these inhuman bodies. To each hanging organ or exposed muscle, I apply a base layer of Mephiston red. I'm going for a more vibrant red than usual to make sure that it stands apart from the pink flesh of the pink Plaguebearers. After the base coat is down, I wash the areas with Carroburg Crimson again in order to bring the details back into focus and further redden the shadowed areas. I keep the highlighting simple and just pick out the most exposed areas with a 50-50 mix of the base red and a bit of bone colour that was already on my palette. If you have the options to mix with either bone or white, I would personally always use a bone colour as to not desaturate the paint but instead simply shift the colour a little towards something else, making the model look less washed out. The pustules littered over the bodies of these demons should be looking like they are ready to explode, so to get them looking that way, I apply a base coat of Jaquero orange to each of the raised spots. I then apply a wash of Seraphim Sepia to those areas. I allow a small amount of that wash to spill onto the skin to try and make the surrounding area look a bit yellowed too. When applying the wash on the yellow Plaguebearers, I applied Caliber Crimson instead, to make the spots appear red rather than yellow, as that will help them stand out from the skin. Once the washes have dried, I do a small dot of Towelite Ochre on each pustule, followed by a dab of bone colour so it looks like it is on the brink of launching a pus across the room. Being the hellish demons they are, it is only natural that each of these models have mouths lined with chomping teeth, some even have teeth lining their bellies, and hellish horns upon their heads. To paint these I base coat with XV88, and honestly the main reason I chose that paint is because I have it and barely ever use it. I then use a much lighter bone colour to pick out the tips of each tooth. On the horns, however, I apply the bone colour whilst XV88 is still wet, allowing me to create a wet blend from a darker colour near the head, travelling into the light at the tip of the horn. The final parts of these demons that I paint is the eyeballs. To do this, I use a vibrant orange such as Troll Slayer orange and then cover it with a wash of Seraphim Sepia, which will help tidy up the edges a bit if you get a bit messy. Then once dry, I dab a bit of bone colour on the eye to make the centre bright and sickly. With my Plaguebearers complete, I am one step closer to finishing the start collecting Nurgle Demons box. But that doesn't mean that I am almost done with the New Year New Army project. No. This project will continue for the duration of my local Games Workshop store's event by the same name, meaning we will be finishing up in late February. The next video will be focusing on some Technicolor Nurglings, but what else have I got coming further down the line? Well, I am currently building the base for the Gardener of Nurgle himself, Horticulus Slimux. I also have a Beast of Nurgle waiting to be built, but I think at the end of this project I shall have to welcome a great unclean one into the fleshy fold. If you want to follow this Nurgle project further, then make sure to subscribe to the channel so you can see regular video updates. If you like the video, then please give it a thumbs up. Such a small action can make a big difference in getting the video viewed by other people, and it's free. If you have any suggestions on where I should go with this Nurgle army, make sure to leave a comment down below. Thank you for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.